Imagine walking into a candy store. You pick up your favorite chocolate bar, something you've eaten 1,000 times. But inside that wrapper, hidden among the sugar, is enough cyanide to end your life in seconds. In the 1980s, this wasn't a horror movie plot. It was a daily reality for every parent in Japan. This is the story of a ghost group that brought a nation to its knees and then vanished into thin air. They called themselves the Monster with 21 Faces. It all began on a cold night in March 1984. Two masked men armed with pistols broke into the home of Katsuhisa Ezaki, the CEO of Glico, one of Japan's biggest food companies. They tied up his family, dragged him out of his bathtub, and kidnapped him in his underwear. Ezaki eventually managed to escape from the warehouse where they held him, but his nightmare was just the prologue. Soon, the Monster began a campaign of psychological warfare. They didn't just want money, they wanted to humiliate the authorities. They started sending letters to the police and the media. The letters weren't typical ransom notes. They were mocking, playful, and incredibly insulting. They called the police fools and clueless, even giving them tips on how to catch them, knowing the police were always 5 steps behind. When the companies refused to pay the massive ransoms, the group turned to the public. They claimed they had laced Glico's chocolates with deadly sodium cyanide and placed them on grocery store shelves. Panic swept across the country. Stores cleared their aisles, and Glico lost millions of dollars overnight. But the Monster wasn't finished. They moved on to other giant companies like Morinaga. This time, they weren't bluffing. Packages were found in stores with a chilling warning sticker: contains poison. You will die if you eat this. Lab tests confirmed the worst. The candies were indeed laced with lethal doses of cyanide. The entire country was terrified to eat a single piece of candy. The police were under immense pressure. Their only real lead was a mysterious figure caught on a grainy security camera. He was a man with sharp, slanted eyes, wearing a baseball cap. They called him the Fox-Eyed Man. He was spotted several times at ransom drop-off points, but every time the police moved in, he slipped away like a shadow. The humiliation was too much for some. In 1985, a police superintendent who felt the weight of his failure to catch the group committed suicide by setting himself on fire. Then, something bizarre happened. Shortly after the superintendent's death, the Monster sent one last letter. They said, "The police superintendent died like a man. We decide to give our condolences. We are bad guys, but we have things to do. We will stop harassing the food companies." And just like that, the letters stopped. The threats ended. The Monster with 21 Faces simply stopped playing their game. Despite one of the largest manhunts in history, involving over 1 million investigators and thousands of leads, no one was ever arrested. The statute of limitations eventually ran out, meaning even if the culprits walked into a police station today and confessed, they couldn't be prosecuted. To this day, nobody knows if they were a group of disgruntled employees, a criminal gang, or just bored geniuses. They teased the world, poisoned a nation's sense of safety, and then walked away into the sunset with their identities intact. So the case ended, but while the police files are technically closed, the questions left behind still haunt the streets of Osaka and Tokyo. If it wasn't just about the money, since they never actually successfully collected any of the millions they demanded, what was the true motive? The name itself, the Monster with 21 Faces, was a direct reference to a fictional villain from the detective novels of Idagawa Ranpo. In those stories, the villain is a master of disguise who commits crimes not for greed, but for the sheer intellectual thrill of outsmarting the world's greatest detectives. By choosing this name, the group signaled that this wasn't just a heist, it was a performance. They were turning a nation's terror into a dark piece of theater. The theory of the disgruntled few. Many investigators believe the group was comprised of former Glico employees or people with deep ties to the food industry. Their knowledge of the factory layouts, distribution routes, and corporate hierarchies was too precise to be guesswork. Some speculate it was a labor dispute gone nuclear. Was this a group of workers who felt betrayed by the economic miracle of post-war Japan? Were they using cyanide as a way to poison the very heart of the corporate system that they felt had chewed them up and spat them out? The shadow of the Yakuza. Then there is the darker theory, Organized crime. The Yakuza were known for sophisticated extortion schemes during this era. The fox-eyed man may have been a low-level enforcer, a disposable face used to test the police response. Some believe the letters and the public poisoning were a massive smokescreen, a distraction to manipulate stock prices. While the public was panicking over poison candy, someone could have been making a fortune shorting the stocks of Glico and Morinaga. It was the perfect white-collar crime dressed in a horror movie mask. A legacy of plastic and paranoia. The monster may have vanished, but they changed your life in a way you probably notice every single day. Look at any bottle of water, any jar of peanut butter, or any box of medicine in your cabinet. See that plastic seal? That tamper-evident packaging? That exists because of the monster with 21 faces. Before 1984, food packaging in Japan and much of the world was remarkably vulnerable. The Glico Morinaga case forced a global revolution in how we protect consumer goods. They didn't just break the law, they fundamentally broke our collective sense of safety in the grocery aisle. The ultimate exit. Perhaps the most chilling part of the story isn't the poisoning or the kidnapping, but the silence that followed. Criminals almost always get caught because they can't stop. They get greedy, they get arrogant, or they try to replicate their greatest hits. But the monster had the discipline to stop at the height of their fame. After the police superintendent took his own life, the group essentially declared their work finished. They won. They humiliated the state, paralyzed the economy, and demonstrated that they could strike anyone, anywhere, at any time. Today, the members of the monster with 21 faces would likely be in their 60s or 70s. They might be grandfathers sitting in quiet parks, or retired salarymen reading the evening news. They are ghosts living among us, carrying the secret of the greatest unsolved mystery in Japanese history to their graves. The next time you're at a convenience store and you see a "Do not use if seal is broken" label, remember that the seal isn't just for freshness. It's a scar left behind by a monster that the world never unmasked. I'm sorry if you're traumatized.
Welcome to Crime Reveals.